two of my besties the last 25 years, you and Elon. Is this you guys just goofing on each other? You got an issue with Elon that's sincere, or is it just playful, fun trolling?
So two things. One, as an entrepreneur, Elon's like the shit of the shit of the shit, right?
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan. What he's been able to accomplish is insane. It's incredible. I would never diminish anything he's done as an entrepreneur. Yeah. As a Twitter user, he's a troll. And I mean, he just trolls to troll to troll. And every good troll deserves a foil, right? Somebody to troll back. And it's just so easy and so much fun. Now, I get some of the underlying principles, I think, at least in my mind. Like when he talks about—
What do you think about the First Amendment principle that he's doing here of like radically changing Twitter from like it's pretty controlled to, hey, anything goes?
I think that's
almost anything goes.
I think that's a fear of losing users. So I think that within the conservative community, they are more joiners and heavier social media users.
Participants,
participants. So they subscribe to more things, they listen to more podcasts, they're more active. And I think he recognized that. And that was a fundamental underpinning of why he kind of connected to them on the free speech thing, because he still has its limits. Obviously, it's his platform, and what he doesn't want doesn't get shown. So I think that's why, and I can't blame him. I wish he would call me. I'd help him on his revenue and all that. And then I think on the immigration side, here's my theory, and you guys can tell me if you agree or disagree. I don't think he's anti-immigration like he says, anti-illegal immigration, where anybody who's in the country should be deported. I think as an immigrant himself, and I'm second generation, you guys are, immigrants at some level, we all are. But I think as an immigrant himself, he thinks that the number of illegal immigrants in this country and the hate that's pushed towards them carries over to legal immigrants, including himself. And I think he believes that by diminishing the illegal or the non-citizens in this country and asking for their removal, it improves the standing of the legal immigrants, including himself. And so that's kind of my theory on both of those things.
Interesting. Yeah. It's certainly a different
honestly,
place.
I don't think you need much of a theory to explain Elon's views because he's just so transparent about what he believes. I truly believe that his core conviction and the reason he bought Twitter X is because he wanted to unlock it as a free speech platform.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay, I don't know how much more money he can lose in pursuit of that goal.
But see, here's why I disagree. You don't take other people's money to do that. If he
I don't think he knew. He didn't know that he would get boycotted by all these advertisers.
Yeah, but he knew that. I think he went in open eyes, carried the sink in the door to run it with some improvements operationally, which he did a great job of, and actually
taking out a huge amount of the cost structure, which he did.
Yeah.
But Jason and I were there on the first day. The first day he took over, there was an organized boycott of advertisers, and they called him anti-Semitic, which is ridiculous, before he even had a chance to change one thing about that site.
So I've heard from a lot of those folks, and it's not so much. Look, when you talk about free speech applies to advertisers as well. They get to associate with whoever they want to, no matter what. So, so there are repercussions.
Unless there's a collusive effort going on to sort of organize.
No, and I get that organization just dissolved immediately, so there weren't.
I don't understand why you won't give him credit for believing in free speech. That's clearly
I have no problem
in.
with free speech. Look, I've always said people are like, get rid of the anti-Semitic people. You get anti-Semitic tropes. I get zillions of anti-Semitic tropes. In my replies, just they're nonstop. I mean, I'm not white. My grandparents changed their name from Chabinski to Cuban, not even intentionally. And so it's always your real name is Chabinski White. There's just the hate there is insane. And my attitude has always been, I want to know who the morons are. I have no problem with them still being allowed on the platform. But the trade-off is for advertisers, they don't want to be associated with that. There is no upside for being on Twitter right now or X on right now. And you add to that the porn. Kids 13 years old can go on that site and you can find any insane thing you want on X right now. And that also is a problem for advertisers. That's part of free speech, but you got to pay the bill when you're willing to accept that. I don't think he realized just how deep users will go in order to use their free speech. And I think that really surprised him. And so that's why I don't think that he bought it specifically for free speech, because I think he's always, one of the things I really admire.
Well, no, I don't know. I mean, he said before he bought it that he was going to open it up as a free speech platform.
And that's fine,
this is why, hold on, this is why the left immediately started boycotting him before he even changed one policy. Jake, help me out. You were there.
Well,
the first freaking day.
I know for a fact
there was a
that
boycott.
this was a free speech mission for him. I do think, multiple things can be true. Mark, you are correct that if you have spicy content, advertisers don't want anything to do with it, and they have choices. And it's also one of the smaller platforms, so they have choices that have more scale, so that makes it even easier. And it's also true that they're boycotting him and specifically targeting him. But all these things are happening at the same time.
And that's fair.
And I think, when you look at what he's done there, we'll look at it historically as this place that was very controlled and clean and owned by the press and the elites became this chaotic thing, but also ultimately the one place where at scale you cannot be canceled. And if you look at cancellation as a concept, the number one place to get canceled was Twitter. You said something even slightly off, man, they came down on you, they destroyed you. And now that we've gotten rid of cancel culture and people can say what they believe and people can make a mistake.
I don't know why it's necessary to find.
I do think let me just finish the thought. I do think that will be looked at as a beautiful thing that he gave to society as a gift, and it will be looked at as a really challenged business, because it was an ad business that lost its advertising base. And Apple and Disney have choices.
I don't see the need here to look past or to look for an ulterior motive in what Elon's doing. Elon believes in free speech. It's very clear. He's run the platform that way, and it's cost him money. So what else could the motivation be except his principles? Obviously.
But he was also addicted to it. I can tell you that. As the person who got him,
I know, but that's not why he's running
he
it as a free
it.
speech. Yeah, I know, but that's not why he's running it as a free speech
Let me give you my counter to that. You know him better than I do.
Why are we even having this debate? Who cares? I mean,
I'm just curious.
The point is he's running as a free speech platform.
Yeah, and that's fine. Obviously, it's his choice. That's free speech by definition.
Let me ask you, actually, to me, this debate is kind of pointless, but let's talk about actually the issue. There's a news story this week where OpenAI just raised, was it $6 billion at $150 billion valuation. They originally started that enterprise with $50 million or so from Elon. It was a nonprofit. Then they became a for-profit. Now there's a report saying that they're telling
IPO
investors in
coming.
this round that they can't invest in any other AI companies. So they're acting like, they've gone from nonprofit philanthropy to piranha for-profit company.
That's pretty sharp elbow.
Sam, it is sharp elbow. Sam said he wasn't going to take compensation. Now he's getting compensation.
Yep.
$10 billion.
What do you think about this?
Look, it's their company. They get to do what they want. Period.
They're not under false pretenses.
But don't invest. He
didn't invest. He gave him a donation.
No, look, which leads to something I want to say very positive about Elon. Put aside his genius in coming up and running these companies. The one thing I respect the most about Elon Musk, and he does more than anybody I've ever seen, and that is he goes all in. He doesn't just, he takes every cent he has and he believes in it, and he goes all mother in. He never hedges his bet at all until Twitter, right? That's why I say, he brought in investors. He brought investors to Tesla and everything, but initially he went all in himself. I think with Twitter, I think he was kind of surprised. But going back to OpenAI, I wouldn't do business with people like that. And there are people who just look for what they think is the next big thing. And I certainly could have given him money, didn't give him money. I said one of our funds that I'm in did give them money originally, didn't give him money another time. To me, that's just wrong. And that catches up to you. When people over investors and whatever, it always comes back. Karma's a bitch in business too. Now, Gemini with Google, I've done a lot of stuff with them. Notebook is insanely good. Gemini 1.5 is insanely good. Meta as open source and what they're doing is getting better and better. There's no, there's nothing that says that OpenAI is going to win. Nothing at all. And so I don't feel bad about what they're doing. And to me, it tells me they're more scared than anything by trying to restrict what people are doing.
Yep, that's
Your
a super
perspective
defensive
is
play.
it says it's more a reflection of Sam than anything else. Is
Correct.
is what you're saying?
Yep.
Well, I mean, that would be reflected in the fact that so many people who are the co-founders have left.
Yeah.
That's a really big red flag. If
says
this thing is going to
everything.
change the world,
Yeah,
and
you know,
all the co-founders leave.
I heard 40 of the 44 co-founders left.
Yeah, with the original employees. I mean, I don't know if that's true, but that's
Yeah, you know what I'm
bonkers. And then
saying.
if you also think about this business, Chamath, and where it's headed.
Sorry, there were 44 co-founders
No, I
of
was
OpenAI.
around the Donald Trump cabinet members thing.
Yeah. No, but I mean, we did a joke about it last week. But if you just look at the competition set that they're up against, they're losing $5 billion a year. They're making $3.5 billion. They put this thing at $150 billion. It's 40 times, 50 times revenue. To fill in that valuation on a price to sales basis, it's kind of crazy.
Here's the one thing that I'll say, and I think Mark said this in a different way, but I don't think you can underestimate how companies like Google, Microsoft, Facebook, Apple, Amazon will react when they feel cornered. And I think in the last 20 to 25 years, what you've seen is those companies, when their backs are against the wall, they use money, they're sharp-elbowed, but the consistent thing is they've won. And so the real question is, do people look at the chart of the users? Because typically what happens is it's users what tilts these companies. When some upstart, you remember when Snapchat was about to explode?
Yeah.
There was a decision, we're going to decapitate this company. Facebook effectively did that. They relegated it to the
Zynga.
corner.
Yep.
Zynga. There's many
They cut their
examples.
legs out, yeah.
So the real question is, when they see that this app is going to be at 3 or 500 million MAU, and they appear on some list where they're bigger than, I don't know, pick your favorite app inside of Meta or Google.
Ever.
Will they freak out? And if they do freak out, what do?
Oh, I can tell you they're freaking right now.
Oh yeah, it's an existential risk to them.
Right.
And the crazy, look what Microsoft did. They bought 3 Mile Island, the nuclear reactor. They bought it. Everybody's looking for the angle. And the crazy
Gangster
part
move.
It's really crazy.
yes, there used to be Moore's law that everything followed, right? The price performance curve always went like this, when power goes up. Now, because you don't know. You don't know what you don't know and what you need to do next. That's part of the challenge that Elon has with Tesla in terms of full service driving. You don't know what you need to do next to get there to solve every problem.
Do you have a Tesla, Mark?
I do. And I also have a Kia EV. I have a Tesla EV and I have a Kia EV.
Do you use the FSD? And if so, how is it? And what do you
I have, but I stopped using it just because it terrified me. Because it doesn't know what adversarial things it doesn't know. Because anything that's adversarial, it has to train on something it's seen, and it's not smart enough to figure out what it hasn't seen and whether or not it's a risk. And I've said this before. My 4-year-old mini Australian Shepherd, I can put it in a risky situation to cross the street and trust it'll get across the street no matter what it is. It doesn't have to be pre-trained. You can't do that with full service driving yet. And so until that gets to where it needs to be, where adversarial issues aren't an issue, I'm not going to fully trust it.